Talk Radio.
Award-winning documentary filmmaker Michael Moore. Michael, good evening.
Good evening, Keith.
Ladies and gentlemen, here is Rachel Maddow. Good evening, Rachel.
Good evening, Keith.
There's been a spike in the desire to own guns in Connecticut. Statewide, over 90,000 guns have been authorized for sale. You know how I feel about it.
You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
Good evening, my fellow Patriots. It is Thursday, the 24th of October. Fall is definitely in the air. Fall is definitely in the air. We had 3 cold nights 3 cold nights here in this great state of Wisconsin. The leaves are falling. They're calling for snow. Can't think of a better time to be alive than this time of year. Man, we got a jam-packed show for you tonight. For those that tuned in last night, we had an incredible show. We had presidential candidate 2016 presidential candidate Stone Anthony on. Conversation went a little bit longer, but hey, that's what happens here at the Midnight Patriot. We are all about the conversation, especially Patriot. We did a full 3-hour show just talking about his platform. We discussed a variety of topics. So if you haven't listened to that conversation, we ask that you go out there and listen to it. I was thinking today, there's a lot of things going on in the world, and I was thinking, and I didn't know how to sum this up, and it finally came to me, and it's amazing how, I don't want to steal a line from Rush Limbaugh, but I will say, not talent unloading from God, but this is God's work, the work that we do here at the Midnight Patriot. It's amazing because I was thinking about it, and I just didn't have the answers. And then literally 10 minutes before airtime, it just came to me. And this is what I want to share with you. There's 2 types of people that seek political power. The first type is typically what we see up there in Washington, D.C. The first type is a person who has reached the pinnacle in their professional career. They feel they can't go any higher, and so they seek public office with the intent of taking one more step. Ego-driven. Then there are people who just want to affect change, who want to bring sanity to an insane world. And I got that feeling. It's not our policy to really endorse a politician or anybody seeking higher office. But to be honest with you, I didn't get the impression. And you got to listen to the interview that we did yesterday with Stone. This is not a politician. He's a statesman. He's an American. He's a patriot. He is someone who sees something that's broken, and instead of sitting around and being the couch politician as we are, as we sit around and we talk about things and we post things on Facebook, but we're not really effecting change. He is actually out there effecting change. He is running for president of the United States. And I believe that he is sincere and that he's making a run for it. He's not there to stir it up or to bring attention onto himself. He truly believes in what he's saying. So, I ask that you go out to his website, Stone Anthony 2016 2016, and take a look at his platform. Right now he has a huge hurdle that he has to overcome. In order to get onto the ballots, he's got to have close to a million signatures. So, go out there, take a look at his website, sign the petition, so that he can get the signature that he needs, so he can at least get on the ballot, so that he can, enter into the conversation. That's all we ask. Listen to the interview we did yesterday, and make your own decisions. So with that, like I said, we have a jam-packed show tonight with you guys. We have Prepper Recon. Oh, having a little audio problem, headphones. We have Prepper Recon joining us at the bottom of the hour. We're going to be talking about the downgrade of the U.S. debt by a major underwriter. Some preparation for our weekly Thursday podcast radio show. We're going to be talking about, we did some research on some of the conflicts going on in the Middle East. I'm going to break that down for you in the hour after that. In our Tech Talk section, I'm going to talk about things that you can do right now to secure your PC from the ever-watching eyes of the NSA and other agencies in our Tech Talk section. You know, we're also going to be talking about Ted Cruz and his affiliation with Goldman Sachs. Of course, we will be talking about the testimony today on the Hill about Obamacare and what to expect there. And then one of the things I am going to be bringing up, or we will be discussing a little bit later on after our conversation with Prepper Recon, we will be talking about some of the hidden costs of Obamacare, costs that you're not even, I don't even think you thought of, and everything. Like I said, if you want to join us, go out to the web at www.themidnightpatriot.com. You can see all of our past shows there. You know, there's links to Facebook. You know, I ask, you know, we are a community-driven, you know, I don't get money from the government, not like PBS. We literally are a community-driven organization. If you like the message that we're doing, let us know. If you don't like the message, let us know. Give us tips. You know, share your insight with us. And the best way you can do that is through Facebook currently, until we get some more servers up and some other platforms running. You know, I answer, anybody will tell you, I answer all my messages that I get through the Facebook system. And I'd love to hear from you. But I ask, too, you know, we are wanting to increase our studio. We are looking at a substantial investment in a new phone system so that we can better serve you and get the message out. Now, you know, with that, yep. So with that, you know, one of the things that we need to do, and I apologize, I'm sitting here watching. I know that we're having a little bit where it's cutting out. The audio is cutting out. But with that, there we go. Holy moly. There we go. So, you know, we're looking at upgrading our phone system. So when we upgrade our phone system, you know, that's a substantial investment, a couple $1,000s. Then we have the monthly investment of 10 phone lines. And we can't use Vonage or one of those services. We actually have to use hard lines. So there's a substantial investment that we have to make there and everything. So, you know, you can support us through advertisement. I understand if, you know, times are tough. If you can't advertise, if you're not a small business owner and you can't advertise, you know, let your friends maybe who do own a business know about us, and help. Our advertising is very inexpensive, very inexpensive. We use it to cover the feeds that we give to you guys. Another way that you can support us here at the Midnight Patriot is like us on Facebook. I ask that everybody who listens to our show repost our show on your news feeds, so that you can expose us to more listeners. That's the other way we're going to grow this. We have an opportunity, possibly in the future. You know, we're in the minor league baseball now of broadcast. We are on a iHeart affiliate cloud. And as we grow our show, as the popularity of our show increases, we will be able to go eventually to the iHeart network, which will expose us to 180 million potential patriots that can listen to our message through iHeart. So that's how you can do that. So I ask that if you're listening, you know, repost our feeds, you know, get the word out, let people know, get involved, you know, communicate with me during the day and everything, and you know, we'll you know, this show's for you. We put this together for you. Now, with that, like I said, Prepper Recon's going to be joining us at the bottom of the hour, but we have some more important business to take care of tonight. We want to honor the fallen, and this is a segment that we do every night. We will continue to do this as long as we have soldiers who are put in harm's way. And I'm telling you, regardless of your political beliefs, regardless of your beliefs about the wars, we still, as a country, need to remember those that put on our nation's uniform to protect our freedoms. And I can tell you this, here at the Midnight Patriot, we will never forget the sacrifices that you have made for us. Marine Corps Lance Corporal Christopher O. Grant, October 20th, 2013. Army Sergeant Lyle D. Turnbull, October 18th, 2013. Army Sergeant Staff Sergeant Patrick H. Quinn, October 13, 2013. Army Sergeant Patrick C. Hawkins, October 6, 2013. Army Captain Jennifer M. Marino, October 6th, 2013. Army Private First Class Cody J. Patterson, October 6th, 2013. Army Sergeant Joseph M. Peters, October 6th, 2013. Lance Corporal Jeremiah M. Collins, Jr., October 5th, 2013, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Army Specialist Angel L. Lopez, October 5th, 2013. If you are a soldier or if you are a family member of a soldier and you need help, please contact the Midnight Patriot. You can email me personally, Jeff at themidnightpatriot.com, and we will make sure that you get the services that you need. Our hearts here at the Patriot family go out to those family members who have lost brothers, husbands, daughters, sons. If there's anything we can do for you, please let us know. We are here for you. We can put you in touch with the resources and the organizations that are there to help you during this time. I also ask that my listeners, when you see a soldier in uniform, go up to them, let them know that you appreciate the service that they do for this country and to you and your family. Wow. I do that every night for those that know, that listen. It doesn't get any easier. Got a little caught up. This is one list that just, as it grows. We added two more souls to that list tonight. And I just don't know. Godspeed. God bless their families. So we're going to take a quick break. When we get back from our break, We're gonna, I've got some short news that we'll do until Prepper Recon gets on here at the bottom of the hour in 10 more minutes. I got to kind of gather myself here, and then also obviously there at the beginning we had a little audio problem, so I got to take care of that real quick. We actually had one of our audio compressors go out, so I have to take care of that. So it's a one-man show here at the Midnight Patriot. It will always be a one-man show. We have no desire to stroke our egos here. We want to offer you guys the best programming, the best services, and we feel the best way of doing that is to keep it small, keep it intimate, keep it family, and everything. So we're going to take a break. When I get back, of course, we're going to dive right into this news.
In a moment, cancer changed our lives forever.
We were told nothing could be done to enjoy these final moments together.
But in that moment, when all seemed lost,
St. Jude Children's Research Hospital gave us hope.
Because at this moment, St. Jude Children's Research Hospital is saving lives with pioneering research and care. We're changing the way the world treats childhood cancer by sharing our discoveries with doctors and scientists everywhere.
And we'll never have to pay St. Jude for anything, ever.
At this moment, she wants to be in her own bed.
I want to be back at school with my friends.
I want to be outside playing.
Please take a moment and join St. Jude in finding cures and saving children. Visit stjude.org.
America, welcome home the brave. The brave men and women who serve their country are coming home. Home to their cities and towns. Home to their mountains and valleys. Home to their families and friends. Home to America. Some of these warriors are coming home with wounds you can see, and some with wounds you can't see, like post-traumatic stress disorder. Wounded Warrior Project was created to provide the support these wounded veterans need to ensure their return to America is well-adjusted and successful. But we need your help to ensure that our mission is a success. Help us honor and empower these wounded warriors. Contact us at findwwp.org. America, welcome home the brave.
You are listening to the Midnight Patriot. I am your host, Jeff Norton. We got a lot to cover. Obviously, Prepper Recon is going to be joining us here in a minute, so we'll do a very short segment, as we wait for him to join us on the line. You know, one of the things that typical talk show hosts, such as myself and everything, get accused of is bias, media bias. And I just want to let you know that here at the Midnight Patriot, I don't care who you are. You could be Stone Anthony, for all I care. You could be my closest friend. You know, if you do something wrong, we're going to call you on it. And I know this next segment here, this quick segment's going to upset some people out there. And, you know, and I got to tell you, I was really upset when I started to read it too, because I actually thought that we had a voice in Senator Cruz. I really did. You know, I thought we had a voice in Rand Paul until he was caught on open mic, and it's not the first time, and it's not the last time. Now, you know, don't get me wrong when I say that I know that they feel that they're doing what they're doing, you know, in their constituents' best interest. But I have a hard time digesting that argument when I hear them, like I said, in Rand Paul's case, you know, on open mic, basically saying we're, you know, laying out the game plan. And the thing is that it wasn't, his argument wasn't that, hey, this law is just unfair. This law doesn't treat the Congress and the president and everybody equally as the American people. This law, Obamacare, website doesn't work. This law allows RFID tracking. This law allows evasive entry into a person's personal life and also their financial dealings. This law actually excludes certain religious orders while including others. This law was a tax when it was argued and presented to the American people that it wasn't a tax. This law was going to reduce people's health care expenses when actually it increased. I can understand that if that was his argument. That wasn't his argument. That wasn't his strategy. So I have a hard time digesting his true intentions. I really do. So, and I know that's going to upset some of you, but hey, it is what it is. We got it. We're patriots. We got to call it out. That's what we do. Truth in our news. We have to do it. Now, one of the things that's really disturbing, Senator Ted Cruz, doing some research. There's two things. Number one, for those that don't know, Senator Ted Cruz is about as lined with Goldman Sachs, the big multinational corporation, finance corporation, the ones that have been accused of I'll just say it, raping and pillaging the financial markets of this country, taking money, using our money and going to Las Vegas and gambling. It's not literal for those, but they use taxpayer money. Well, they used your money, deposits and everything. They gambled, and when things got too rough for them, they came back to the taxpayers, and we had to bail them out. That Goldman Sachs. You don't get any closer to Goldman Sachs unless you work for Goldman Sachs than being married to a vice president of Goldman Sachs. So, Ted Cruz, just letting our audience know, who your associations are with. Now, I can tell, I don't know the relationship you have with your wife, but I can tell you the relationships I have with mine. typically what she wants me to do, I do. I mean, let's just be truthful. It's in my best interest as well. I might complain about it, but at the end of the day, I typically do what she wants me to do. And so I can't but believe, now maybe I'm wrong, I cannot believe that there's some influence going on there. I cannot believe that there's some information being traded. Now, a lot of people, as the government was shut down, a lot of people don't know this. There was a lot of companies that actually profited from this. You know, there were corporations. You know, so of course now we're digging into Goldman Sachs and we're going to see what funds they shorted in their investment group. And if we find anything there, you betcha we're going to come after you, Senator Cruz. We're going to expose you here at the Midnight Patriot. You know, because, you know, there's that relationship, obviously, you know, we have to look at. And what information, you know, we already know Nancy Pelosi and her husband and certain members of Congress, you know, they benefit all the time from decisions that are made and the timing. You know, mainstream media's even caught wind of it, of the timing of some of the investments related to things that went on the floors of Congress. So, you know, we're going to take a look at that. Now, the other thing, too, that, you know, that's disturbing here, Senator Cruz, you're a bright man. You're a lawyer, highly educated. Some of the American people out there, you know, if you were of another party, we would be calling for immediate censure issues, you know, in front of the ethics committee, which I believe you're going in front of, or will be going in front of. You know, why, Mr. Senator Cruz, why didn't you divulge to the American people, as all politicians are required to, about your $100,000 offshore investment? That's right. For those that didn't know this, very well reported. Not speculation, but true. Senator Cruz, you, after you got caught, or actually after your deceit was detected, you admitted it. You know. So you got to ask yourself, you know, who's actually representing the American people up there? You know, it's amazing when we think we have a star, or when we think we have an individual who truly cares about us. You know, we find these chinks. Now, I'm not saying everybody has made mistakes. Everybody. No one's perfect. He without sin cast the first stone, right? We've all made mistakes. But I find it hard to believe when you have the opportunity to atone and to make sure that you don't continue making those same mistakes. I find it hard, you know, when you leave pertinent information out. I got to ask, what are your motivations? What are your desires? And it goes back to my opening statements that I made. I actually think there's two types of people that run for higher office in this country. There are those who have reached the pinnacle of their professional career and you know, they're at the top. You know, a good friend of mine who was an agent in the sports community, represented very well-known athletes as we were eating dinner one day, said that Even Michael Jordan wished he was Tiger Woods, believe it or not. You know, even people at the top of their game, of their professional game, wish to move further. You know, is that a fault, or is it a character trait? You know, obviously, to get at the top of your game, you have to have that drive, that competitiveness, that desire. You know, I look at what I do here. I spend more time preparing for the show on a daily basis than I've ever done working at any professional career, because I want to be at the top of my game. But there's a point in which you're there and you're happy, or you should be. And if you get to the top of your game and you're affecting change in my world, but you want to take it one step further, I think that's where sin and deceit and all of that creeps into our lives and takes hold and then controls you. And I know of very famous broadcasters, very famous athletes, very famous politicians who have fallen prey to that character flaw. You see it, you read about it all the time and stuff. So going back to my point about politicians, there are those individuals, my earlier statements, there are those individuals who have reached the pinnacle of their professional career, and the next step is to move into politics. They choose that their next step is to move into politics. Or they choose that their next step is to move into an organization in which they can affect millions of lives and impose their will upon millions of people. The ego kicks in. Freudian. So I remember some of my Freudian classes about the id, and the ego, and all that. And you see that. You know, I think, don't know. Well, I do know. You look at their actions. And then you also have the other politicians who are not more statesmen, individuals who are just sick and tired and are concerned for the well-being of their families and their communities and just, can't take it. I'm mad as hell and I can't take it anymore. Take that famous line from the network. And those people enter in. And unfortunately, when they get, because you can't. A wise person once told me, you can't sit in a barber chair long enough and not expect to get a haircut. So even those people are when they're exposed to the Washington greed and power hungry and the depravity that goes on there, even those people can succumb to the temptations. But, Mr. Cruz, at this point, based upon what I have seen, Senator Cruz, you fall in that first category. And it makes me sad. But then again, not sad, angry, disappointed is the word. Disappointed. Because now, when we think we have Americans who have our backs up there, you got to ask yourself, do we? Do we? So the only way, that's why I'm proposing, the only way that you're going to affect change is that we need Americans, we need statesmen, we need patriots running for political office in this country. We need people that are willing to say, look, if I get out of hand, I will step down. Those types of people. We need statesmen to run this country. You know, a lot of people don't know this. George Washington, when he was offered the job, they were going to make him a king, and he said, absolutely not. I don't want the job if I'm going to be king. You know, the whole notion of term limits came about because of that. Because of that. George Washington, some of our greatest leaders, George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, go down. They were statesmen. They were statesmen. Truly. So, we'll see. We'll see. But we are doing the research. We are looking at the investments. We are looking at who profited from this shutdown. And I'm telling you, if Goldman Sachs, profited, you got to start asking yourself. Got to start asking yourself. So with that, we're going to take another small break. Hopefully, Prepper Recon will join us. I know that he's fairly busy, did his podcast today and everything. But when we get back from our break, if he's not here, that's fine. We got so much to do. So much to do and so little time to do it in, as they would say. Before I take the break, I do apologize to those out there. That the group, our theme song, the song that we play when we honor the fallen, that music is actually provided to us by Madison Rising. That's MadisonRising.com. You can go out to their website. You can download their CDs, watch their videos, support them. I know that they're going to be touring here soon. We are trying to get them into the studio here so that we can, talk with them and stuff. But they are the official music provider of the Midnight Patriot radio show and podcast. That's Madison Rising. I do apologize. Normally we let people know up front, but I got so caught up in the moment, got caught up in the moment with the fallen, and then our small technical difficulties. So we're going to take a break. When we get back, hopefully Prepper Recon will be joining us. If not, like I said, we'll just soldier on. That's what we do.
America, welcome home the brave. The brave men and women who serve their country are coming home. Home to their cities and towns. Home to their mountains and valleys. Home to their families and friends. Home to America. Some of these warriors are coming home with wounds you can see, and some with wounds you can't see, like post-traumatic stress disorder. Wounded Warrior Project was created to provide the support these wounded veterans need to ensure their return to America is well-adjusted and successful. But we need your help to ensure that our mission is a success. Help us honor and empower these wounded warriors. Contact us at findwwp.org. America, welcome home the brave.
In a moment, cancer changed our lives forever.
At this moment, St. Jude Children's Research Hospital is saving lives with pioneering research and care.
And will never have to pay St. Jude for anything, ever.
At this moment, she wants to be in her own bed.
I want to be back at school with my friends.
I want to be outside playing.
Please take a moment and visit stjude.org today.
You're listening to the Midnight Patriot radio show and podcast. If you'd like to join us, go to the web, www.themidnightpatriot.com. That's themidnightpatriot.com. Call-in numbers are there. Our Skype information is there, so you can also Skype us. Actually, we have a caller on Skype right now. Mark?
Jeff, how you doing, man?
Hey, buddy. How are you?
Doing good. Glad to be back on the show.
Oh, absolutely. It was funny because I was expecting you actually to come in on the hard line and so, but you know what? This Skype is the audio's like crystal clear.
It is. It's a lot better sound quality, especially for the people calling in, I think, right?
Oh yeah, no, I appreciate it. Sorry, I was missing your call and stuff, but it's okay. We had a little bit to cover and everything. Man, I heard your show today. Now, did you do that show today, or was that a pre-record?
Pre-recorded.
Okay. No, that was, for those that don't know, we have Prepper Recon on the line, and his website is prepperrecon.com. Had an excellent show. I've been listening to a couple of your shows. I listened to the apartment show and then listened to the one that you posted today, and highly recommend that you go out there and you listen to those shows, especially those that are concerned about the state of affairs and how they can kind of, protect their families and everything. So yeah, it's a great show.
Thanks a lot, man. Thanks a lot. You're doing great work over here too.
We're trying, I'm learning. Oh my goodness. I am learning. It's just every day is something new. Like right now we're shopping for a digital hybrid, a 10 to 12 line phone system. And it's just, it's crazy. It's crazy, the technology that goes. It's just not a matter of getting a microphone and a board and an audio connection, if you want to take it to the next level. But the good news is we are starting to get noticed by iHeart. So that's great news for us. So, well, the topic, obviously, we were, for those that don't know, Prepper Recon, obviously with the name, you can pretty much know what we're going to discuss here, prepping and stuff. But I think we're going to kind of start out with some of the financial news.
Yeah. I know I'm supposed to be here to talk about solutions, not problems, because you talk about problems all day long, and I'm supposed to be coming to you with solutions. But part of the solution is is situational awareness, and that's just kind of knowing what's going on around you. And I think that's one of the things that Midnight Patriot is doing so well, is getting people aware of the problems. Because I'll tell you, I had no idea about Senator Cruz until I just heard that on your show, and I knew about Rand Paul, and I knew that he had backed Mitch McConnell, and that was very, very disappointing for me. But I didn't know any of that about Senator Cruz, and that just breaks my heart. It really does. Yeah,
I mean, I was shocked when I read it. I'm like, I got to report about it. I got to report about it, because then, I don't want to be accused of media bias or anything like that. And so when I said, what's the best way? Someone told me, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So you just do it. And yeah, I was, like I said, I was devastated. Now I'm getting wind. Now, we have contacts at some of the major financial magazines and investment institutional, and we are looking into possibly, the two fronts. Number one, why he didn't disclose his offshore accounts, but number two, did Goldman Sachs profit from the shutdown? I know there's a lot of companies. I was talking to one of my buddies in Chicago who's an options trader, and they shorted a lot of different stocks. And there were some people that made some money off the shutdown. And so now I gotta, we're gonna dig into it. We're gonna dig into it. But yeah, I was very upset. But we gotta report it. We gotta be fair. So
yeah, we do. And the situational awareness, going back to that helps people understand the urgency of why they need to start preparing. And I think that's part of what gets them motivated to start taking some action steps and doing what they need to do to get ready for whatever, whether it's a complete collapse or partial collapse or hyperinflation or stagflation or a deflationary collapse, or maybe what a lot of people say is going to be a sort of a deflationary collapse and then shoot into hyperinflation. But anyway, one of the things I wanted to talk about today was daggone Chinese rating agency, which is one of their big four, that would be equivalent to like our Fitch or S&P, dropped the U.S. debt rating to A-, which that's not like when you get an A- in school. It's not like you almost got an A. It's just, you still got an A, but it's just an A-, but it's still in the A category. That's 4 levels down, because you start at AAA, and then you go to AA, and then you go to A, and then you go to A-. So that's probably closer to, if we were thinking of high school letter grades, it's probably closer to a D.
Yes.
And it's just one step away from the Bs, which when you get into the Bs in credit ratings, that's really considered junk bonds, like what you have in Greece.
Yeah, which it is. And I know that there's some issues going on in China right now, where China's actually being they're having some financial slowdowns as well, and but it's just it's amazing. And what does this mean to us is that a lot of people obviously hear that we borrow money from China all the time, and typically with a lowering of your the short research that I did, the lowering of your credit rating usually means an increase in interest that you're going to have to pay on that bond or that debt, that note that you're taking, and that's just going to add to our overall debt burden that we're already straddled with here in the United States. So, but it's getting there. It's getting there. But I agree with you. We talk about the news here so that we kind of wake people up. We give people the information so that when they're sitting at the water cooler, they can do that. But yeah, we have to start talking about solutions, and that's one of the things we're going to do. I don't know if you heard, we're going to do the Tech Talk every night, where I'm going to give you suggestions or solutions, technology-based solutions, to help you avoid some eavesdroppings and different intrusive behaviors of our government. So, with that note, though, let's talk about some solutions. We had an awesome conversation last week. I will let you know I went grocery shopping today. That's a great story in itself. I got my bags of rice, and I'm putting them in my 5-gallon buckets. I don't have the Mylar bags yet. I was looking on eBay for those and everything. And so I took the information that you gave us from our last show, and I'm actually putting it into my life, and doing those things as well. So tonight we're going to be talking about.
Well, I've got a little prepper tip for at the end of our conversation. I was going to kind of leave everybody with, but back to the ratings agencies things. Now, we've also got the American ratings agencies. We've got Fitch, which put America on negative watch, but they're really too scared to actually downgrade us because of what happened to S&P after they dropped the U.S. to AA, because they got hit with a big $1 billion lawsuit for their involvement in the subprime fiasco.
That's right. I forgot about that. I completely, thanks for reminding me. I forgot about that. Yeah, they downgraded us, and the next day they had all sorts of investigators all over them.
They did. But to put it another way, the A- that we got from the Chinese rating agency, if you or I had that for a FICO score, we wouldn't be able to buy a car, have a credit card, buy a house. We probably wouldn't even be able to rent an apartment with that sort of a FICO score if we had what would be the equivalent to that A-.
Wow.
But so anyway, back to Fitch and Moody's and S&P. So all of these guys that were involved in the subprime ratings, where they were given the subprime collateralized debt obligations, they were giving them all AAAs and AA's, and that's what triggered our last crisis. They've got us rated at AAA and AA for U.S. debt. So it's the same thing all over. Now, did you learn anything from that last crisis when when they had everybody rated at all the subprime rated at AAA and AA?
Well, yeah, I learned a few things. learned a few things. I learned to start investing in hard, tangible assets such as gold and silver, and lead. So
yeah, copper jacket and lead. Yeah, but I learned you can't trust those rating agencies. That's one of the things I learned. But the implications that has on the derivatives market is absolutely nuclear, because we have $500 trillion in interest rate swap derivatives. And they're created with formulas that don't account for wild swings in interest rates. So let's think about the 2008 subprime bubble. It was $3 trillion of subprime debt, and we know what that did to the economy. So this $500 trillion in interest rate swap derivatives is 167 times larger. So I guess a way to think of that is if 2008, if that crisis was the size of your house, the derivatives crisis would be the size of a shopping mall, probably. And to sort of break down derivatives and what they are, I think an easy way to think about them is they're basically just an insurance policy. So let's think about them in terms of being like a car insurance policy. So if interest rates were to spike, it would be the equivalent of everybody in America getting into a car wreck on the same day. And think about what that would do to State Farm or Geico or whatever. Now imagine that there were hundreds of policies for full coverage on each one of those cars in America that got into a wreck. No insurance company in the world could pay that out. So depositors go to the back of the line when banks go belly up, and derivatives, they have super priority in bankruptcy, thanks to the Bankruptcy Reform Act in 2005, which was pushed through by some of our good friends over at Goldman Sachs, which I think you were talking about earlier in the show.
Yep. Well, a lot of people, I don't know if you listened. We had Ellen Brown, who was the Web of Debt, the author of Web of Debt and Private Banking Solutions.
That's where I got that information.
Yeah. Okay. We're gonna get her. Okay. Yeah. No, Ellen. She was our first guest, and we're gonna definitely get her back on the air, and we're gonna be talking about this. But one of the things in that conversation, a lot of people, Detroit. They negotiate, Goldman Sachs, those guys all negotiated first superposition before the default of Detroit. So what they were able to do is basically extract pension fund money that was in the pension fund, and these financial institutions were able to get their money out. And now Detroit, we hear the stories and stuff, they're sitting there trying to figure out how they're going to keep the lights on, if they can keep the lights on. I mean, so it's just, it's amazing. It is a, how do you say it? It is a financial theft through manipulation of the markets and stuff. So, I mean, it's crazy. But I'd never really thought about it. You bring up a great, excellent point, and I think our listeners need to hear this, is that when it pops, the original one, and we all felt the pain from that, size of your house, and now we're talking about a supermarket. Unbelievable.
Mm-hmm. And everybody thinks that, well, that's my money in the bank, so I'm going to be the first one in line to get it. No, you're in the back of the line. You're an unsecured an unsecured creditor.
Yeah.
As far as the way the bankruptcy law is going to look at that when and if this all pops.
Well, one of the things I've been trying to, I've been telling, we've mentioned it a couple times here to our listeners, is that, this is nothing new. I mean, we got into this situation a long time ago, on a much smaller scale, but the reality of it is that we had a banker holiday where people went to bed over the weekend and came back, and when they had, I'm just throwing a number out there, they had $10,000 in the bank. They were issued a note, a Fed note, and they were told, oh, you only have $5,000 in the bank, and oh, here's this new shiny Fed note that you can have. I mean, do you think that is a possibility where we could have one of those, another banking holiday here in the United States?
It's happened before. It happened in 1933, right? In March of 1933.
Yep.
It's happened here before. It happened in Russia. It happened in Cyprus. It happened in Argentina. It happens all over. Yeah. Why wouldn't it happen again? People think that because it's never happened to me and it hasn't happened in my lifetime that it can't. And then they think that, oh, my deposits are insured by the FDIC. That's a facade. They're insuring $10 trillion in deposits with about $30 billion in the actual fund. I mean, sure, the Fed will print that money up, but do you know how long that would take to print $10 trillion? $10 trillion, that's 10 football fields full of $100 bills on pallets stacked too high.
Jeez.
And then by the time they got them printed, do you know what they'd be worth?
Yeah.
Nothing.
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 And going to that point, I mean, today, I've always made the argument is that, what's going on, because I hear this so much. Well, it doesn't affect me. I don't care what goes on and what, it doesn't, those guys are all crooks, those guys are whatever, I hear all the names. And I try to explain to people, it does affect you. I mean, I went to the supermarket today. I took some time off. It's pretty sad. It's not, because we're busy here. We're on a mission here to educate people. So, Sandy and I were sitting there, and it's like, hey, let's go. She wanted to go grocery shopping. Normally she'll do that, and I said, look, I'm going to spend some quality time with you grocery shopping, right? So we go. I went into the local grocery store. Campbell's soup. Grew up on Campbell's soup as a kid, loved it and everything. The Campbell's soup the cans are half the size. I don't know what they are down where you're at, but the Campbell's soup cans were half the size of a normal Campbell's soup, and they were $1.29. Now, I remember in college when I was living on a college diet and we buy Campbell's soup, I used to get them for 50 cents, 25 cents a can. And now they're $1.29 a can for half the size. Eggs. Well, I used to get eggs at 89 cents. Now they were at our store, they were $2.39 a dozen. And it's amazing. But what I guess I like the fact America's waking up, because as we were checking out, no joke, didn't say a word, didn't tell anybody what I did, I was just there being, Jeff Norton with Sandy, and we were loading up there. A couple behind us was talking about, the country going to the heck in a handbasket. It's a family show, so we're trying to keep it clean. And as the lady's checking us out, she's talking to us about, what's going on in Washington. And it's amazing. One of the things, I think the American people are starting to see this, and they're starting to feel the pain like the rest, they're starting, and it's starting to affect them, and they're getting, from the conversations I had. Of course, now when they start talking, I'm going to jump in, and they were, we had a great right there in the checkout line, had a great conversation, had an opportunity to educate some individuals, and told them that they don't have to be, you have to live in the world, kind of in a bubble here. But you can do things to help yourself out a little bit. So yeah. Wow. I never really thought never really thought about it that size, or that magnitude. You've opened up my eyes.
Yeah, and that's one of the solutions I wanted to talk about to all of this, and being prepared for this, and what can you do with your money. And you just touched on it right there, is groceries. Because if you buy your Campbell's at $1.29 now, and it's $2 a year from now, why not buy 6 months worth of that Campbell's? You know, if groceries, and I think we could all safely say that probably John Williams over at Shadow Stats, his inflation numbers are probably more accurate than what we're getting out of the Bureau of Economic Activity. He's claiming it's 10%, and I think the Bureau of Economic Activity is telling us it's 1.7 or something. I'd have to lean towards the 10%. Because and the same thing with coffee. Coffee used to be £1, and it used to be $2.50. And then it went to 14 ounces, and now it's about 11.5 ounces, and it's $5 or $6. You know, it's terrible.
Well, peanut butter, yeah. Toilet paper.
Butter.
Oh, I was, like I said,
chocolate.
Oh, yeah.
Cereal.
It's just unbelievable. So, well, that's a good question. You know, I'm glad you said that. So, like Campbell's soup, how long does that stay? I mean, how long can you store that for?
It will last. Anything that's in a can like that will last forever. Okay. With the caveat that if it's not dented and it's not rusted, it will last forever. Okay. After about 7 years, it's going to start to lose a little bit of its nutritional value, and it's going to start to lose some of its flavor. But you could open it up 30 years from today, and as long as it's not dented and it doesn't have any rust on the can, you could still eat it. Now, and it's still going to have some nutritional value, and it's probably not going to taste like much, and it may lose a lot of the texture in it as well, but it'll last.
Well, now the question is, like most of the cans that we see around here have the easy off lids, you know, that aren't real cans. Are those? I mean, obviously, I would think that the standard old soup can would be the best bet, not these easy off type of pull type lids, right?
I'd have to look into that, but I don't see why. I think they have about the same expiration dates, which aren't really accurate. They're just, you know, that has to do with trying to move the product.
Gotcha.
I think they would probably last for just about as long.
Yeah. No, I mean
that's a good point. Maybe that's it might be a little bit more of a good seal to get the regular can opener style cans.
Sure. Now,
if you're buying groceries, and groceries are going up at 10% a year, instead of putting that money into a 10-year treasury, which is 2.5% today, you're beating the market by 7.5% with no risk as long as you eat that food. So financially, that just makes good sense. And then if nothing happens, you know, you beat the market and you got a 7.5% return on your investment. So financially, it's a good move. Now, if things do go bad, and we do have a Tiatwaki, which in prepper speak, that's the end of the world as we know it, and we just use that little acronym Tiatwaki to describe that sort of an event.
I have to remember that.
So if we do have a Tiatwaki event, now you've got at least 6 months that you're going to eat, and you're going to be able to think about, you know, how else you're going to be able to transition into gardening or hunting or doing whatever you have to do to feed yourself.
Sure.
So that's a good basket, and I think that I think the wise thing to do is to spread it around. You know, you figure out what your budget is for prepping and what your budget is for investing and things like that. And I think diversity is the key. And you never want to put – the people that make the mistake are the ones that they stick all of their money in ammo. You know, well, now you got plenty of ammo and you got no food. Or they stick all their money into gold and silver. Well, now you got gold and silver, but you got no bullets to protect it with. Or they stick all their money into real estate, and then the real estate bubble pops. But if you spread it around and any one thing goes belly up, you're still going to have the other things for backup. So another good basket, and we talked about that last week, is ammo. We talked about it right here at the beginning of the show. That's a great it's a commodity. Like you said, it's lead. You know, it's something that people have to go and dig out of the ground and put effort into getting it. It's not somebody at the Federal Reserve creating it through a keystroke. So it has a tangible value because it took effort to get it out of the ground, and also the copper that jackets that lead, and the brass. So they're commodities, and then it has utility. You know, it has utility as security. And it can have utility as food production if you live in an area where you can hunt. So that's another good place that you can spread it around a little bit. And then I think we talked about a banking holiday and the possibility of a banking holiday here. And, and then there's the possibility of bail-ins. And we talked about that a little bit last week as well. Keep a little bit of cash at home. And I think everybody, before they even start thinking about gold or silver or anything else, I think that they should try to get a 6 months emergency fund to where they could go with no job and no income and no government assistance for 6 months on the savings that they have. And I think that you should try to find somewhere on your property, not necessarily under the mattress, and I think we talked about that last week, but either in a safe or buried in the backyard or under a rock or something like that, or maybe in a few different places to where if it's in a safe and you do get a home invasion, you've still got some in the garden, and if somebody sees you put that in the garden and they dig it up, then you still got what's in the safe. And diversify that as well.
Sure. So, we talk about food and sort of now, a lot of people have been telling me, well, you need to join Costco or Sam's or anything like that. Are those good investments? Do you actually truly get the savings, or are you better spent taking that money that you have for those memberships and using them, to buy other products? What's your experience?
We don't use them, and that's my personal experience, and it's only because God blessed me with a couponer for a wife.
Okay.
And if I could probably do it, and I think I could figure it out because she's got a pretty good system, and it's not super time consuming, but coupons are the key. And she feeds both of us on $50 a week, and that includes our shampoo and our toothpaste and our toothbrushes and our deodorant and our razors and shaving cream and toilet paper and paper towels and everything that we eat, and plus everything that the cat eats for a week. She feeds us on $50 a week, and we eat good, but she does it with coupons. And all of the toiletries and things she gets from CVS, and if you got one of those in your area, you can go to CVS and they have extra care bucks, they're called, and the register will spit those out, and each week they'll put out their flyer and they'll tell you what you can get for free that week, and she'll just go in there and get everything that she can get for free that week. What it requires is at first you're going to pay $20 for the first load.
Okay.
And then you'll get back, let's say, $20 in extra care bucks. Now you just keep rolling over that same $20 every week. And she's been doing this for a couple of years. So the first $20 investment, she's already saved over $1,000 this year from the extra care bucks at CVS. And we've just got boxes and buckets and everything of razors and shampoo and soap, and
gotcha.
We've got 6 months of toilet paper.
Now,
which, when it hits the fan, you want toilet paper. That's one of the things that you're not going to want to do without. So stock up on that.
Well, and I was actually looking at that today. I mean, I'm looking at the toilet paper, and I'm sitting there going, so we bought bulk. So I mean, we're starting to think, instead of buying what we need for that week or that couple of weeks and stuff, we're actually buying more and more bulk. And you raised a great point, because even the girl that was checking us out was like, do you have any coupons? And we were like, no. And she's like, why not? I mean, she actually asked us, like, kind of looked at us funny and said, well, why not? And, coupons, do you have to subscribe to a local newspaper to get your coupons, or where's the best place to get those? Because that's traditionally what I saw my mother doing and stuff, was getting them out of the local newspaper. Do you guys get them from other other sources?
They're still in the paper, so you can still get them in that Sunday paper. But coupons are everywhere, and there's usually a store flyer. If you have a Winn-Dixie or a Publix or a Kroger or anything like that, they have store flyers. And they'll usually have store coupons, which will be down here. The big grocery store chain is Publix. So you'll go to Publix, and at the back of the store, they'll have a flyer, and it'll have 50 cents off on pasta. Mm-hmm. And then you match that with another 50 cent off on pasta from the Sunday paper. And so now you've got $1 off on this pasta. And then you hold on to those until you see the pasta on sale 2 for $1. And it's $1. So now you go in and you get 2 boxes of pasta, and you put the 50-cent store coupon, and then you put the 50-cent manufacturer coupon, and your pasta's free.
Gotcha.
Sometimes it'll actually be an overage. Some grocery stores will open up the drawer and they'll give you money out of the drawer, and other ones they'll let you put that towards meat or fresh fruit or something that you typically wouldn't be able to get coupons for. But she gets so much stuff. She gets pasta sauce, pasta, cereal. Most of that stuff she gets completely free, which is a big help, and that's a big part of our stockpile, of our 6 months food supply, and most of that's all come from couponing, and it didn't require us to come up with a budget for buying extra food to build up a 6 month food stockpile.
Gotcha. See, I never, like I said, it was one of these things, like, it's all about changing habits and everything. And, we were talking about that today, is, the macaroni and cheese. We try to stay away from the pastas and all that stuff because of health reasons. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, but you know what? That's what you want, because it's a quick, starchy food. And, when you're hungry, it's easy to pack and stuff. And so we're actually starting to educate ourselves a little bit more, and not saying that we're getting rid of the fresh fruits and the vegetables and all that stuff. That's our normal diet. But, when we are going to the store today, I went to the store and I'm looking at the bags, the bulk bags of macaroni, elbows, the noodles and the rice and all that. And I'm like, this is stuff that we normally would never buy. And, Dr. Oz, if he came in our house, would freak out. But, the reality of it is that when the stuff hits the fan, this is something that you definitely need. And, and I think one of the things too, I started to think about, you got me thinking, I'm a student here at the show today and last week and stuff. We have a dog, we have a big dog actually. Mm-hmm. He's a great parent. And I'm looking at him and I'm like, we got to prepare for him as well, because, he goes through a 50-pound bag of dog food a month at least. And, that's so, I mean, do you have any suggestions on animals like that? How do you store it? Because I know dog food goes bad pretty quick.
Well, you put it in those Mylar liners, and it's going to last a lot longer than it would otherwise.
Sure.
And you're probably just going to have to look and see which types of dog food would last the longest, and do a little research, and some of it's probably going to last a little longer. But when things get bad, dogs will probably eat just about anything. They'll probably eat rice and beans. I would imagine a dog would eat rice and beans if times were really, really tough, because my grandfather always had dogs and on the farm in Kentucky, and he never bought dog food. Everything they ate was just the scraps from the table. And they were always healthy dogs.
Okay. Yeah, because we were thinking of that too. We got to start prepping for our dogs as well. And
we keep our cat food. We keep 6 months worth of cat food, and it doesn't go bad. We keep it. One of the things we do is we'll put it inside of a trash bag and just seal it and tie it off in a knot so that it keeps. There's no critters that are going to be tempted to get in it.
Sure. Nope. So, I mean, yeah, like I said, I mean, you've woken me up. I mean, I'm starting to think about that. I mean, I was even today, asking. Now we don't have we have a standard freezer that comes with our refrigerator, and I was talking to him. I was like, what we need to probably do is get a small freezer and start buying a little bit more, meat and keeping that frozen. Most of the, I haven't had time to hunt like I used to, and everything with everything that's going on. But what's your recommendations on that? Is a freezer worthy? Because my concern is if it does hit the fan, one of the things you're going to probably be without is power. And do you recommend that, or do you recommend getting meat and then canning it? I've seen some websites where they show you how to can meat, but I've also read that that's very dangerous if you don't do it correctly.
It's dangerous if you don't do it correctly, but if you get a pressure canner, you can can any meat.
Okay.
I canned it because every Thanksgiving, turkeys go on sale for 49 cents or 59 cents a pound. So last year I got 2 turkeys, and we ate one for Thanksgiving, and the other one we canned with our pressure canner. And I don't have a video on it, but I have a post on it. If anybody wants to go to prepperrecon.com and just type into the search box canning turkey, it's probably going to come right up, and it'll have all the directions there for what I did for turkey. And when you get a pressure canner, it's going to come with a little book, and it's going to give you what pressure it needs to be at and how long you need to cook each type of meat. Okay. And now my brother-in-law, he's every deer season he gets pretty much the maximum amount of whatever he can get, and he just he took 2 deer hams and gave to a lady to process. And she kept one and gave him one back of deer jerky, and that's great. But now I think that the power outage is going to be the extreme event.
Okay.
But now if you just want to make a little solar power system that's big enough to keep a freezer or a refrigerator, you can buy a 1,000-watt inverter, and you can get that on Amazon for about $65. And you can get 2 158-watt panels for about $250, and you can get a 125 amp hour 12-volt deep cycle battery, and then you just need a charging regulator. And I've got a post on that on Prepper Recon too, and it'll have the entire diagram of how to put all 4 of those components together to make a little system that you could run a refrigerator or a deep freezer off of. And if you start with the inverter, you can take that inverter, and if it's a temporary thing, you can hook that up to your car engine. And you can run 1,000 watts off of your car engine with that inverter. You just connect the cables to your battery terminals, and you want to do that with the engine on. Or you can and then after you buy the inverter, the next thing, if you want to do this piece by piece, the next thing you would buy is to buy the deep cycle battery. And then you can just get a regular 12-volt charger and keep that thing charged. And now you at least have 4 or 5 days that you can run your refrigerator or your deep freezer with no power, because most power outages are short term. And I think that a complete grid down scenario, of course it can happen from a solar flare. Of course it can happen from a terrorist attack. It can happen from an EMP, which can be generated by way of a nuclear device being detonated in the upper atmosphere that sends out a electromagnetic pulse and knocks out the grid. So, I mean, it's very, very possible. But I think it's the extreme example of what we need to prepare for. And but it's something that you can do. And that little solar system, it'll cost you less than $1,000, and you can know that you have enough power to keep a refrigerator going. And especially if anybody has something where they have to keep a certain type of medication for diabetes or something like that, where they need to keep that refrigerated, or if you have an oxygen generator or a CPAP machine or something like that where you have to have electricity, I think that's a really, really good investment.
Sure. No, that's a very good point. And that was, we were looking at medicines and stuff. Now I'm a big proponent, because we would, do a lot of sailing and stuff, and so we would always, go on long trips. So you'd always make sure you have extra medicine and everything. So I do know how that works. And with the solar panels and stuff you didn't have them on the sailboats. We had wind generators, but they really didn't put out the output, that we needed to actually drive a bigger system like that. Most of our sailboats were all 12-volt systems, and then you typically just charge them up on the dock and then go with them. And then the wind power would be to have, running lights or whatever at night and stuff. But great points, excellent points, outstanding points. I mean, it's, like I said, my eyes are, it's one thing to sit here and talk about all the problems every day. It's another thing to talk about the solutions and stuff. And you've, never really thought of the other side of the equation is the solutions until you actually opened my eyes. So if we have a deflation, I mean, what would be the type of events that we can, from your experience or from your research and stuff, that we can kind of, we can say, it's coming. Obviously we're there financially and stuff, but what would be some of the warning signs that we need to start looking for? And when we start seeing those signs, then we need to know that we need to either start getting our bug out bags ready and everything.
Radical shifts in the interest rate, like we saw yesterday when it dropped 9 basis points in one day. Was that yesterday, or that was the day before?
Day before, yep.
It dropped 9 basis points in one day, because those are the types of jumps that can trigger the derivatives time bomb. That's a sign of instability. The entire financial market's like this big Jenga puzzle. And particularly when you start to involve fiat currencies, all fiat currencies are these big Jenga puzzles, and you don't know which block you're going to pull out is going to make the whole thing crumble, and you don't really know when. Do you have 2 more blocks or 3 more blocks that you can pull out? You don't know when, and you don't know which way the thing's going to fall until you know which block it is that's going to make it topple. And so it could fall to the left, which might indicate a hyperinflationary scenario, or it could fall to the right, which might indicate a deflationary scenario. But now if we go through the deflationary scenario and you've got cash, that it's very likely that the Fed is going to come out with some extreme money printing to stop that, and that's going to turn around and trigger a hyperinflationary scenario. And when you see that, if you see the deflationary thing, I think that a hyperinflation is going to follow, and that might be a really, really good opportunity for people that do have a little cash set aside to either get into gold or silver or farmland. Farmlands, now that's another good thing. It's a bug out location that you have, and then if things don't turn out to be so bad, you can either produce food on it to feed yourself for if things get bad or if they don't. And if you've got a lot of wooded acreage, the trees can be sold for lumber or paper or anything. So that's got a lot of value, and that might be a good hedge against inflation. But I'll tell you what, if you had gold and silver, if you had that in Russia in the 90s, you did okay. If you had gold and silver in 2001 in Argentina, you came out all right. And if you had gold and silver in Zimbabwe in, what year was that, 2005? Is that right? 2009. I think it's 2009. 2009, you were okay. And if you had gold and silver in Weimar, Germany in the 20s, you did okay. But now if you were in all cash in any of those instances, you got wiped out, completely wiped out.
Sure.
And silver's up about $1 since the last time we talked. I think gold is up about $70 since we spoke last week. And the production cost of gold right now on average is around $1,500 an ounce. Now, average means that some companies are producing it at $1,600, and there's others that are producing it at $13, and maybe some that are producing it at $12. But it's only those companies that are producing it all-in cost of below $1,350 that are making any money. So if it doesn't get back up to that average production cost, we're going to see a huge pullback in production, which is probably going to trigger a supply shortage and probably going to indicate even higher prices than just the normal correction of going back to average production cost. And the same thing with silver. Average production cost on silver is about $28 right now. So at 22.60, I think it was today, it's a gift, I think. And I think it's a good hedge, and I think it's a good place. Once you get that 6 months cushion of savings in cash, after that, I think it's good to start thinking about putting about. I don't give investment advice because I'm not a licensed
broker dealer.
Investment advice,
yeah.
no. So, but I'll just say what I do for myself. After that 6 months is set to the side, I like about a 10% allocation into precious metals, about 5% for gold, and about 5% for silver, and over time, it's always done good. I think we talked about that last week. The $5 Indian gold coin that they had in 1929 is a quarter ounce of gold, and so it's about. Let me get my calculator. So that's about $337 that of purchasing power that has now. So I mean, if you had traded that in when Roosevelt called in all the gold, and you would have traded that in for a $5 bill, of course, I think he gave you about $8 for it in currency, but still, that $8 compared, if you would have stuck that into the bank with no interest, compared to $337.50, the value of that quarter ounce of gold now, it's preserved its value, whereas the paper money has absolutely been on a complete downhill slide.
Sure. You know which is really, you talk about gold. I actually had a listener who texted me last week, and he doesn't mind sharing this. He told me what he does is because, when you buy the coin and the all that, there's a possibility that it can still be traced. I know that there was a couple companies that the federal government came in and seized the records to see who was who bought the bullion from them and stuff. What he did is he actually put a listing up on Craigslist. Said, I will pay you cash for your gold, and he said that he stockpiled his gold and he didn't have to pay the premium. He was actually giving, at that time, he said it was very easy. He would go to the gold index, and say, all right, they're giving you this much for the ounce, and here's your cash. And that's what he was doing. And then of course he's melting it himself and making an ingot out of it. And he said that was, because one of the questions I have is, obviously you see Midas Resource, all those different agencies. Well, obviously they're making profit selling these things to you. So, how do you maximize your dollars? And that was his suggestion, is just put an ad in Craigslist or, in a local newspaper saying, I buy gold, pay cash for gold and silver. And and that's how he's been collecting his, and he says it's been working out pretty well for him. So,
and they're one of my sponsors, but I'll tell you what, I was buying gold from them before they were my sponsor. If you don't mind me plugging them.
No, is that Midas?
No, it's JM Bullion.
Okay.
And they have, and I've researched because I've been doing it for a little while, and I don't want people to just take my advice and just follow me blindly. But what I want you to do is I want you to go online and look at their prices, and then go around and look at 4 or 5 other companies' prices. And I think you're going to find the same thing that I found, that they have the lowest price over spot for American Silver Eagles and American Eagle gold coins and Maple Leafs. and it's JM Bullion, and you get a coupon code. If you buy $300 or more, you can use coupon code PR for Prepper Recon, PR5, and that'll get you $5 off your order, which will cover about half your shipping, because your shipping's about $10, which is also really reasonable for any of the companies out there. So if anybody's out there thinking about buying gold or silver, definitely look at them and compare prices and compare JM Bullion's prices. I think you'll probably end up finding that they have about the best deal going.
Sure. No, absolutely.
But that's the Craigslist idea is a great idea, but that might be pretty heavily involved there to actually smelting it and purifying it.
Well, it was funny.
You have to have a good little workspace.
Well, I asked him. I'm like, exactly. And he actually smelts his own lead. So he already had the coil inductions, heater and all that stuff. So he's like, I just use the same crucible and everything as I do in my lead making. And he said the only thing that you have to, obviously with the arsenic or whatever, to take the impurity metals out and stuff. And he said, yeah, he'll do it right there in front of the customer. He'll say, all right, this is what I'm going to give you. This is what it's worth. The customer will sit there. They'll melt it down. He'll pour it in his little mold, and he's like, all right, here's the true weight, the tar weight, I think is what he said. And that's, and then they're done, and the customer's everybody's happy, and and he gets himself and some gold that's gold. And he does silver as well, but he prefers gold because apparently gold is easier to smelt. So.
I bet it is. The silver has a lot higher melting point than the gold.
Yeah. So I mean that was what he was doing, but a lot of great points. I mean, like I said, I am. I'm trying to get away from it. It was funny because when I was talking with Ellen, she's like, "Yeah, you got to get away from the problem." And get to the solution the solution side, because that, everybody knows what the problems are. We got to get to the solutions, and that, you've raised some really great, excellent points for us and our listeners and everything. And, I appreciate you taking time out of your evening and spending it with us on the call and stuff. I mean, is there anything else? Did we get it all?
Absolutely, Jeff. I appreciate you having me on the show. I love coming on. I love talking to you, and I love doing it. I guess that's why I do it. Here's the prepper tip of the week, because I want to give you a little prepper tip of the week. I guess there was a few tips in there already, but I want to try to give one practical tip for everybody every week when I come on. And this week's practical prepping tip is it's buy baking soda. It's got so many uses that you can use for your preparedness efforts. You can use it for cleaning, and keep a box of it in your bug out bag when you get your bug out bag together, because you can use it to wash your hair. You can use it to brush your teeth. It'll get bad odors out of your clothes. So if you're sort of bugging out and you've got to wash your clothes in a creek or something like that, you can use baking soda for that. And God forbid that you're on the lam and you're actually having to do some escape and evasion. You'll be able to get the scent out without putting in a bunch of heavy perfumes. And then that's also going to go as far as using it for a deodorant. It's going to keep your personal scent down to make you harder to track without adding a bunch of extra perfumes that you might have in regular deodorant. It's got some medical uses. Of course, if you've got really bad heartburn, you can mix it with a little bit of water and it'll relieve heartburn. You can mix it with a little bit of water to make a paste, and you can use that to relieve insect bites or sunburn. And then last week we talked about storing dried beans, and I might have mentioned this last week, but it's certainly worth repeating because it is such a good tip. If you put a tablespoonful of baking soda in your dried beans the night before, when you soak them in the water, they'll cook in about half the amount of time that they would cook otherwise, which dried beans can take about 2 hours to cook. But if you put that baking soda in there, it'll cut it down to about an hour. Whereas in a post-apocalyptic stuff hits the fan scenario, fuel might be something that's hard to come by. If you're not out in the woods where you got plenty of wood to cook with, if you're in sort of an urban area and you're having to rely on propane tanks or sternos or something like that, conserving your fuel is going to be really, really important, and that'll cut that cooking time in half.
Great point. Once again, didn't know about baking soda, so I thought it was just a thing you put in your refrigerator to keep it from
Prepper Gold.
It is Prepper Gold. Prepper Gold. There we go. We're gonna corner the market on baking soda and everything. No, I appreciate it. For everybody that doesn't know, Prepper Recon, he has actually a blog, mentioned it a couple times. It's prepperrecon.com. He has guests. He has a weekly podcast as well. Has experts in the industry and everything on his show. So I highly recommend you go out there and do that. Now, I'm going to do something here. I was just thinking about it, and I'm putting my bug out bag together, after we were talking the other day and everything on the last show. I don't know if you listen to the show. We had an author, Jake Danishevsky. Danishevsky was on. He grew up in Soviet Russia before his family moved over here. So he actually saw and he on that show he kind of explained what he saw as a child growing up in Soviet Russia, communist Russia at the time, and what drew the correlation to what we're seeing here. So Jake is an author. He wrote a great book. I actually got my hard copy the other day. He sent it out to me, but because of mail or whatever, it didn't get to me before the show. I actually had a digital version of it that I was reading, but he sent me a hard copy. Now, we have ordered 10 of those to give away. So here we go. And you can actually, Prepper Recon, you can put this on your site too.
I'll do it.
If you send me a picture of your bug out bag, it doesn't matter what's in it, but send me a photograph. Just take a picture of it, put it up on Facebook. We'll get them posted up there, and everything. We will select one person, just random drawing. We'll just select the one person, and the person that wins, we will send you a signed copy of Aftertaste and Tales from Russia, and we'll get that out to you and stuff. We'll start this week, and this time next week, hopefully we'll have a slew that we can pick from, and we'll just pick out the bug out bag and everything. So you can send that to the Midnight Patriot, and then also Prepper Recon, if you don't mind. Send it to Prepper Recon. So the best bug out bag. That's what we'll do. The best bug out bag. Take a picture of it. Tell us what your contents are in it, and then whoever wins that, will send you out a free copy of Jake Danishevsky's book. There you go. We're going to start doing some giveaways.
You can make two winners, and I'll send you a copy of American Exit Strategy, the Economic Collapse Chronicles, Book 1. Which is my new book, and so you can have two winners. You can have one for his book, and then I'll have a signed copy, and I'll send that to you.
Awesome.
And then you can give away a copy of that as well. Is that good? Is that cool?
That is awesome. That's
awesome. And people can check that out. It's got its own website. They can go to AmericanExitStrategy.com, and they can read a little bit more about what that's all about. And it's what it sounds like. It's the economic collapse, and it goes through the slow motion breakdown of what I think is probably coming, and it follows the lives of some preppers, and it looks at a lot of practical tips. I try to get a lot of information in there as well that doesn't just address the problem, but also looks at the solutions through the actions of the protagonists and the other characters in the book.
Sure.
And then next week when I come on, I'll try to talk about getting a nice medical kit together for your bug out bag, a little one for your bug out bag, and a little bit bigger one for your home. And we'll try to look at what some good things are to put in there.
All right. Well, hey, Prepper, I'm gonna start using you by your pseudonym instead of I know your real name. I kind of blasted it out there last time we were talking and stuff. So, but I was criticized heavily. It's like, oh, maybe he doesn't want to know and stuff. But
no, because my real name's on the book. So, I mean, at that point, I mean, if we're not on the list, then we don't deserve to call ourselves patriots anyway, right?
Yeah, exactly.
There's no hiding. It doesn't matter if you're the head of Germany. You're still going to get tapped by the NSA.
You're still in the NSA. Yeah, you and 35 other people. Yeah, that's right. And
oh my gosh, the heads of people from France and all over. Boy, making friends and influencing people, right?
You know, you're absolutely right. You know what's really funny though? I was sitting there, I was watching Jay Carney yesterday, where he was like, "Oh, President Obama called, Chancellor Cole, they were talking, and he had reached." And I'm sitting there. Remember the Iraq War when Bush was going in? They had the press secretary for the, they call them Comic Alley, not Chemical Alley, but Comic Alley, where he was like, "Oh no, the Americans are not in the country," and stuff. And you knew that, and I'm surprised Saturday Night Live didn't do a skit where they were, where the Marines were taking his banner and his poster off as he was given, "Oh no, the Americans are not here. We are, they're fleeing the country. We are destroying them." And I was watching Jay Carney, and I'm like sitting there going, "Do you not read the news?" I mean, because he's sitting there going, he's saying, "Well, the president, we weren't spying on the." It was the GRB, or I don't know what their intelligence sources. They're the ones that broke the story. They're the ones that said the NSA is spying on our chancellor. They're the ones that came up with it. It wasn't, leaked through Snowden or anybody like that. It was actually, they were caught red-handed. And then Carney's sitting there going, "Oh, no, the president wasn't doing it." And then today, it finally came out. Snowden, I guess, released the documents as well. There was 35 leaders that the NSA, and it's gotten so bad that the NSA or not the NSA, but these countries' leaders have now asked the UN to sanction the United States for doing this. That's pretty, I know a lot of people out there think that, we're not beholden to the United Nations and stuff, but you got to ask yourself that, one friend told me a long time ago when I was in college, and, all college students party and have a good time. And one friend said, when you got 4 or 5 friends telling you that you really need to slow down and you need to stop doing what you're doing, you might want to start listening to them. And, and that's the thing with the United, that's what I look at, is the fact that we got 35 countries, 35 leaders of 35 countries, and these are our allies. These aren't, Iraq and, places where we're in conflict. These are our allies, our friends, are all saying, "Enough is enough, America. Enough is enough, and you got to stop doing this." So yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, yeah, I put my name on all the posts. I mean, I've already had the death threat. I've already had my first one.
Wow.
Yeah,
congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much.
I haven't had one of those yet.
I actually have.
I've had some trolls really spout off some pretty vile stuff, but no death threats.
Yeah, I've had a death threat. They said they hope that, I won't tell you what they actually, it was pretty vile, to be honest with you. And it is what it is. And to me, that just motivates me even more. And it goes back to a comment that I made, at the beginning. I knew I was going to get them when I started that portion of the show, because I was, attacking a certain religion, and I knew it. I knew it was coming. And you can't, I live pretty close to a major city. And so, yeah. I told him, I said,
little Baghdad over there. Right?
Yeah, I told him, I said, let me, I'll give you my address. You can come here. I'll just let you know I am heavily armed. Someone will be going. Yeah, someone will be going home dead. And that's just, it's just crazy. It's just insane. I mean, we try to. It's not our job to incense people and stuff, but when you're telling the truth, and you're, it's hard to do it. So yeah, I got my first death threat, and we soldier on though. Continue to watch them.
We're all terrorists anyway, right? Did you see the piece in FoxNews.com today about the soldiers attending the pre-deployment briefing at Fort Hood?
Yep, we were told. Yep, we were Christians, and absolutely.
And Tea Partiers. We're a threat to the nation.
Yep.
And any soldier donating to those groups could be subjected to punishment under the Uniform Code of Military Justice.
Yes. Yep. And we knew that was coming. I mean, we lost another general, too. I think we're up to 9 now.
Wow.
we're up to 9 generals. And, you know, we were talking about that yesterday. You know, we had Stone Anthony on, who, you know, he's also former military. So he was like, you know, when you have that many top rank, I mean, to get to those positions, you're bringing just a slew of knowledge and growth. I mean, these are guys that have been, you know, all the way from the, you know, Vietnam era, and their experiences there, bringing them up, and they're, you know, they're being let go. I mean, they're just being discharged and stuff. I mean, there's a fundamental attack in this country on our core Christian values. There's no doubt about it. Actually, if you stick around, listen to the show a little bit later, we're gonna be talking about that. I've been doing some research on, you know, because I'm not educated in the Islam religion. I've been doing some research, and I'm going to kind of share that with the listeners. And then the questions, you know, have risen is, why is this particular president, so anti-Christian? And you know, and so I started doing the research, and I think I got the answer. And it's not the typical answer that a lot of people believe. You know, I know there's the argument, they say, well, he's a Muslim and blah, 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 blah. You know, that could be true. I can't trace it. You know, I looked at his elementary records and stuff when he was at elementary school. He was at a secular school. You know, there was Muslims there and Christians there and stuff. And, you know, the fact that he was named Osama, you know, he was named after his father, you know, and he went to that one school for 1 year. So, I can't say in good journalistic integrity say, well, he was converted as a Muslim there. But I can tell you there's some other things, you know, as he got older, and we're going to share that here in the next hour. And stuff.
Good. Well, I'm going to be listening.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, so everybody, Prepper Recon, you can join them on the web at prepperrecon.com. You can also, if you like us on Facebook, you can get to him through us on Facebook. He's out there. He posts. You'll see him a lot in a lot of the different groups and everything, posting and stuff. So, you know, highly go out to his website. A lot of great information. That's how I met Mark, was actually through the information that he was providing on the website. And of course, order his book, you know, go get his book. You know, we got to support those that are out there. So Mark, you be well. I'll look forward to our conversations online, and also next Thursday, my friend.
Absolutely,
All
Jeff.
right,
Thanks
take care of
for
yourself.
having me on. It's always a good time when we get together, right?
It is. Oh, 3 hours last night, not you. That's the problem. Actually, one of the criticisms I got from the network is I got to handle our guests a little bit better and get them on the air and get them off. And so that's not going to happen. It's all about conversation. If we're having a good conversation, we will definitely continue to roll on. So you take care of yourself, and I will talk to you later, my friend.
You too. We'll see you next week, Jeff.
Yep. Bye now.
Thank you.
Yep. So that was Prepper Recon. Like I said, go out to his website. A lot of useful, great information. And it's put together in such a way that it's not too intimidating. It's not, it's just good common sense type of information. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a break. We're coming up to the top of the hour. We are going to roll over to the third hour here at the Midnight Patriot, like we typically do. And if you want to join us, the lines are open now. You can actually give us a call at 262-997-0607. That's 262-997-0607. Or now that we've had a Skype call, and I know that's a great quality. Actually, that's actually better quality than the phone line. So you can actually Skype us at the Midnight Patriot. That is our name, the Midnight Patriot. And when we get back, we're going to break down Islam for you. I'm going to share some research with you that we've uncovered some things, and I can tell you, as I was going through this and reading this information, I was just amazed. I literally was, and it kind of explained a lot of questions that I had. So hopefully you'll come away from the conversation that we have in the next hour as we break down Islam, and we might give you a little bit of insight of what's going on and maybe answer some of your questions. So we're going to take a very small break, about a 2-minute break, so I can get a drink here and kind of take a break. And when we get back, we'll talk about Islam. You're listening to the Midnight Patriot Radio Show and podcast.
In a moment, cancer changed our lives forever.
We were told nothing could be done to enjoy these final moments together.
But in that moment, when all seemed lost,
St. Jude Children's Research Hospital gave us hope.
Because at this moment, St. Jude Children's Research Hospital is saving lives with pioneering research and care. We're changing the way the world treats childhood cancer by sharing our discoveries with doctors and scientists everywhere.
And we'll never have to pay St. Jude for anything ever.
At this moment, she wants to be in her own bed.
I want to be back at school with my friends.
I want to be outside playing.
Please take a moment and join St. Jude in finding cures and saving children. Visit stjude.org.
America, welcome home the brave. The brave men and women who serve their country are coming home. Home to their cities and towns. Home to their mountains and valleys. Home to their families and friends. Home to America. Some of these warriors are coming home with wounds you can see, and some with wounds you can't see, like post-traumatic stress disorder. Wounded Warrior Project was created to provide the support these wounded veterans need to ensure their return to America is well-adjusted and successful. But we need your help to ensure that our mission is a success. Help us honor and empower these wounded warriors. Contact us at findwwp.org. America, welcome home the brave.
All right, as we roll into the third hour here at the Midnight Patriot radio show and podcast, I'm your host, Jeff Norton. You can join us on the web every Monday through Friday. Actually, you can join us on the web 24/7, but we're here on the air every Monday through Friday from 9 p.m. to about 12 a.m. Central Standard Time. You know, but during the day, between the hours about 9 a.m. until about 9, I'll turn her off, 9 a.m. until about 2:30 p.m. You can actually join me on the web at through our Facebook account. Love to hear from you and stuff. So let me make this a little bit of an announcement. As you heard, the lady in the background was saying 90 seconds. If you are listening through Blog Talk Radio, you can join us and listen live at www.themidnightpatriot.com. There is a player there that you can listen to all our shows. So you can drop off of Blog Talk Radio and join us live through our Spreaker network feed. So before we went into the break, one of the things that I wanted to do, because this is really, it's about education. Forget the rumor mill and all that, because we try to bring, the truth. And I'll be the first one to tell you, if there's something that we report here that's inaccurate and stuff, we will make that correction. I don't have a problem doing that. You can tell me, you can, shoot me an email, you can text me. During the show, I am monitoring our Facebook chats and stuff. So if there's stuff you want to hear us talk about and everything, you can do that. There's times, I'll be honest with you, there's times where I get so engulfed in the conversation that sometimes I do miss your chat requests and everything, but you can still put them up there. Eventually I will get back in touch with you or get you on the air. Don't give up. We will get you on the air if you have something to say or you want to add to the conversation. And the way you can do that, of course, is you can give us a call at 262-997-0607. That's 262-997-0607. Or you can Skype us at Skype. Our Skype name is the Midnight Patriot. That's our Skype name. We ask that you follow us also on Twitter. That's how we kind of keep you abreast of what's going on. And also on Facebook. Obviously, with Facebook, there's a lot of postings that go on and stuff. We do have a Patriot Insider group. If you want to join, send me a request. We'll get you joined up to that. I don't want to send out just, blindly to everybody. I know a lot of people do that. We really want you to participate. So if you want to join the Patriot Insider, just shoot me a message, and we'll send that request out to you. Those are our ways of communicating to you without all of the clutter. As you know, in Facebook, there's just a ton of groups that you can join to, and it can get overwhelming. So before we started the break, like I said, I started to go down this journey because I wanted some clarity for myself. You hear a lot of things that President Obama, obviously has a Muslim name. And you hear, oh, he's a Muslim. He hates America. And, I believe that. I believed that. And until I started doing the research. And I want to share some things with you. Now, do I believe that President Obama hates America? Yeah, I do. I think he hates the America that we are, and he wants to make the America that he thinks we should be. Look at his slogans. Look at his, the media that he puts out there. Listen to his speech. Listen to his speech. Listen to his actions. The things that he did. There was when he first started running for president of the United States, a lot of people don't know this. He refused or did not wear an American flag. Refused. It wasn't until his handler said, hey, look, you better start doing this or you're not going to have a snowball chance. So do I believe President Obama hates America? Yes, I do. Do I believe that he hates America because of his religious convictions? No, I do not. No, I do not. And like I said, I did my own research, and I'm going to share that with you. And first, let's kind of discuss, this thing called Islam. We hear about it. I see the videos just like you guys do on Facebook. I mean, just horrific. And you got to ask yourself, why would a people be that barbaric, that evil, to do that? To cut out a heart of a child. And you just got to ask yourself, and we'll tie it to a very popular story here in America, the Hatfields and McCoys. For those that don't know, you had the Hatfields and McCoys in the South, and they hated each other for and they feuded for years and years and years, to where they almost wiped each other out. Now, obviously, when you have 1.3 billion members of the religions and in Islam, it's going to take a long time, but they're doing their darndest to try to do that. Now, in my research, you got to ask yourself, why do they, obviously they don't like us, and we'll talk about that. We'll put that on the shelf, and we will come back to that. They don't like Israel. We'll put that on the shelf, and we'll come back to that. But I don't know if you guys know this. There's a huge conflict amongst themselves, and it's rooted in their lineage, their history. And so it's a conflict that's not going to be easily solved, by them sitting at the table and negotiating. It's just not gonna happen. You know, they are literally going to fight until they annihilate each other. So my question is this, is as a country, we got to ask our leaders, do we, you know, we don't want to be involved in this. It's a no-win situation. It's a battle that we will never win. All we will do is draw the ire of the Muslims. It's kind of like a family. You know, police officers, law enforcement will tell you the most dangerous call that they will get is when a husband and a wife are fighting. They will go into the call and they'll arrest, you know, whatever spouse or whatever did whatever, and then the other spouse, as they're protected, will jump into the fray. No-win situation. So if you think that we're going to steer the minds of these people, you're sadly mistaken. You don't understand the problem. Now, let's get to the root of the problem. Here's some education. There are two sects within, there's actually four, but the two majors, the other ones are more mystic sects, and so they don't really play in this equation. You know, but there's two main Islam sects. There's the Sunni and the Shia. Now, the Shia represents about 120 million or so Muslims. They're typically found in Iran, parts of Iraq. They are the secular sect in Syria, the political part of Syria. Very small enclave. But the majority of them come out of Iraq, Iran, and that geographic area. Now the Sunni is about 940 million and growing. It's obviously the most popular. That's Saudi Arabia, Egypt. You know, those are the Sunnis. Now, where they divide each other, where they're different. So it's kind of like in Christianity. You have Baptist, Church of Christ, Catholicism, all those different religions, right? But they're not slaughtering each other over their beliefs. Where the rub is basically goes back to their succession. You know, the Islam religion obviously came from Muhammad, their prophet. They call him Prophet Muhammad. And when Muhammad died, the Sunnis took more of a diplomatic approach to his successor. They voted and they said the imam, or the successor of Muhammad, would be X person. The Shia took the approach that we will follow Muhammad's lineage. And it just happened that, his daughter was married to an Ali, I believe. His name was Ali. And then he became the successor of Muhammad and the icon, or the idol of the religion. So right there, you had a division between how the Islam religion was going, the succession, who was going to be in charge, who was going to make. You got to remember, when you're in charge of the religion, like the Pope is for the Roman Catholic Church, they make the decisions on how that religion was going to operate itself, right? So that right there set up the rub. Now, it continues, though. The schism was more political than religious in nature. Both sides supported their claims to the legitimacy of the selective readings of both the Quran and the Prophet's actions, and saying towards the end of his life. Ali, the Prophet's cousin, he was the one, remember, the Prophet's cousin who replaced Muhammad when he passed, acknowledged his failure to win the popular acclaim by accepting Abu Bakr's caliphate. Now, caliphate is leadership. It's a term for leadership. So after a few months after the Prophet's death, he later became the fourth caliphate, followed by the murder of the third caliphate by dissidents. You see, so you have a pretty, it's probably not a job you want. So, these guys were put into power through their lineage, and they were executed. The Prophet's wife opposed Ali's appointment as Khalifa, but she was defeated in battle, and although she was later reconciled with Ali, she had succeeded in establishing an opposition. So here you are. You have the Sunnis, who felt that they needed to elect people. You had the Shias, who felt it should go through blood lineage. And as the Sunnis would elect, they would be, those caliphates would be executed, killed. And then, Ali was put into power. So you had a struggle. Going on. Ali was then assassinated in 661 CE. His son Hussein led a doomed rebellion against the new caliphate and was killed on the battlefield in Calabar in 680 CE. It was this martyrdom which consolidated the separation of the Shia. So at this time they were kind of the two groups. Islam was together. They were just fighting over who's going to run their religion. And it wasn't until Hussein, Ali, who succeeded Ali, the cousin of Muhammad, that the Shia then said, we're leaving. We don't want part of this, and we will go our separate ways. And one of the things is that, you've seen the Islam, the Shia, you'll see them where they're beating themselves bloody with chains and cutting themselves and stuff. That is their celebration of this battle, their separation from the Sunnis. So now you have about 680 CE, you now have the Sunni and the Shia sect after they just couldn't agree. So that's where you had it. Now, for the most part, they actually lived pretty much at peace. They went their separate ways. Lived at peace. The problem is this. What happened is that you had the rise of Sunnis. Sunnis were more of a democratic Islam. We elect our leader, Imam, by democratic processes versus their lineage. So the dominance of the Sunni took hold. In the past, the Shia had limited political success. Obviously, they were kind of a minority even back then. In sharp contrast, the Sunnis were leaders spawned a succession of dynasties culminating in the Ottoman and the Mongol empires. Very predominant moments in world history. From the early days, the Sunni captors viewed the Shia with suspicion and had to put down several revolts. So that, there was some battles going on and from their fundamental. Now, each religion, each sect within the Islam religion felt that they were correct and that their edicts were the right edicts. And it got to the point to where, the Sunnis were like, no, this is what Prophet, Muhammad would say, and this is what, and the Shia would say, no, this is what it is. So you can imagine where that rub is, right? I mean, it's pretty common. We have that in American. in Christian religions. But, we don't take up arms against each other and slaughter. You did have the back in the Dark Ages, you did have the reformations that went on. But we don't have that now for obvious reasons. So that is the main rub between the two. It's fundamental in nature. It goes back from the beginning of their religion, from day one. So something that has been percolating and festering and doing all that, from day one. It's not something that we're going to get into. Now, this is the argument that a lot of people will make. President Obama is Muslim. He supports the Muslims. Well, let me kind of explain this. Every action in which he supposedly supported the Muslims, where he supported the Sunnis, no matter what side of right or wrong they were on, I will give you that much. The terrorist Al-Qaeda in Syria are Sunni Muslims. The Libya, the Brotherhood, are Sunni Muslims. The royal family of Saudi Arabia, Sunni Muslims. See the pattern here? He does it clear. It is very clear. He supports the Sunni Muslims. There's no doubt about it. There's no question about it whatsoever. Now, a lot of people would say, well, he supports the Sunni Muslims because he's a Sunni Muslim, right? Well, we don't have it, as much as we think that is true, we don't have enough to support that. There's we try to deal with facts here. When we tell you that, President Barack Obama was born in Kenya and President Barack Obama, came in and when he went to Occidental, he actually got foreign aid. We have documents. When we say that President Obama can't produce a legitimate birth certificate that can be tested scrutiny of just simple criminologist, we have those documents. Now, a lot of people will point to the fact, and I've even done it, and I like I said, it's keeping with our journalistic integrity here. I was actually under the understanding that he attended an all-Islam school in Indonesia. And that's not actually the case. His first 4 years that he went to school, he actually went to a Catholic school. And then in his fourth grade, so, kindergarten all the way up to third, Catholic school, devout Catholic school in Indonesia. His fourth year of school, he went to a school that was a secular school. It had Muslim students, and it also had all sorts of religions. It was more of a school for diplomats or for the wealthy, like a very private school. And a lot of people will claim that President Obama, was converted, and that's when he took up Islam. Well, there's no record of that. I've looked for the research. There is no record of that. There's record that he went to school there, but there is no record that he actually converted to Islam at that point. He was there. Now, obviously, his father was Islam, but his father was kind of not in the picture at the time. He was there, but he was never there. So, you got to read the story. I have read President. I've not read it. I've actually listened to the book on tape of him. So, do the research. So you got to ask yourself now, where does the Islam come in? Now, the thing is, the reality of it. All right, so we've established Islam. We established why it's just not a winnable war over there. These are Hatfield-McCoy arguments, with billions of people, and it's just not going to go away. And there's nothing we can do in our, we're just meddling. We're just meddling, right? We're actually part of that war because we're lapdogs of the Saudi family, which, you can't, Obama's in the war. He has the authority to pull us out of these wars. But the reality of it is your excellent book, The House of Bush, House of Saud. So you got to look at that as well. We promised all the way back in the 60s when they, early 50s, 60s, when we found there was oil there, we promised the Saudi royal family that we would protect them and that we would be, because the last thing we wanted them to do is build their own military. So the United States entered into agreements that we would be their military. So these issues and our loyalty to the Saudi family go long before this. So, obviously they control the oil that we need, or our government thinks we need. And so when they say jump, we say how high. So there's a lot of twists and turns. But now that it's clear to you, hopefully you'll understand it. But getting to the point. So why in my article, Obama the Deceiver, we talk about the things that he has said about the Muslim religion versus the things that he has said about the Christianity. And it's clear those are his own words. But I don't think it's rooted in the fact that he subscribes to the Muslim religion. I think it's rooted, and we're going to get into this a little bit further. It's rooted in his socialistic, communistic upbringing. As when we talked with Jake Danishevsky, the author of Aftertaste and Tales from Russia, he gave us a very clear picture of life in Russia and socialism and all of that. And then we drew the correlation back here to the United States. So now there is one thing, and you can't deny this. You cannot deny this with Obama, is that Obama's brother, Barack Hussein Obama's stepbrother, who, was there, he is deeply, deeply entrenched in Sunni Islam causes. Can't argue that. He is, so if you have a family member who has access or has access to the President of the United States, and he is deeply committed and deeply entrenched in these Islam Sunni causes, I'm sure there's some influence there. There is some influence there. I mean, there's even so much influence, what we've uncovered. I don't know a lot of you people know this. Right now, currently in the Obama administration, there are 6 individuals who are tied to radical Sunni causes, Islam causes. You got Alpha Al-Keen, Assistant Secretary of Policy Development for the United States Department of Homeland Security, member of Muslim Brotherhood. Mohammed El-Bari, Homeland Security Advisor, member of Muslim Brotherhood. Rashad Hussain, Special Envoy to the OIC, Organization of the Islamic Conference, Muslim Brotherhood. Saleen Al-Mahdi, Obama Advisor, founder of the Muslim Public Affairs Council and its current Executive Director, Muslim Brotherhood. Imam Mohammed Magid, Obama's Sharia Czar, Islamic Society of North America. He's also a member of the Muslim Brotherhood. And Ibo Patel, Advisory Council on Faith-Based Neighborhood Partnerships. These are all people that are in the administration, all member of Muslim Brotherhood, which is Sunni. And you also got to remember, like I said earlier, in my earlier conversations, that President Obama's stepbrother is an advocate for various Muslim organizations, Sunni Muslim organizations. right? So there's your tie. You have the president's brother, stepbrother, who is part of this organization, who's an active participant in President Obama's life, probably, somewhat of an advisor. You have the President of the United States, who's associated himself with Sunni Muslim Brotherhoods members. But that came later in life. Now, you got to ask yourself, why are these associations if he's not Muslim? Well, these associations are there because they're a means to the end. They are. They're a means to the end. What's more telling, what I found is that, going back to my earlier statement, that the President of the United States has a huge disliking of the American way. He has a huge disliking of Christianity. He does. I think it's rooted, those associations need to be looked at. The fact that we have cabinet, we have his associates, cabinet level associate members, not sit on his cabinet, but advisors, who are all members of this organization called Muslim Brotherhood. Now, for those that don't know the history of the Muslim Brotherhood, they were actually the Nazis' arm during the Second World War. They were actually, do the history. Look it up, research it. The Muslim Brotherhood was actually created by Nazi Germany. They were the organization in the Asia, which included, Egypt and those areas, the Middle East, that area. They were created by the Nazis as their point people for the Middle East. So there's, obviously some dubious history there. I think, though, we need to look at that. There's some ties there. But I think his real hatred for America comes out of his association as he became, as he got older. Started when he was in college and grew up. The point here is this. What should be more alarming to you, and we're going to get to it here in a minute, and I'm going to share these associations with you, are these associations. The other ones, got a question, but these are the ones I think that are motivating our president and his hatred towards religion. Jake made it perfectly clear. Communists and socialists hate religion, and the reason being they hate religion is because it puts God above the man. If you go to Soviet Russia and everything, it was Lenin, it was Stalin. They were more powerful. If you go to North Korea, it was, their leader there, Kim Jong, Jr. Communists, they don't like anything. Leaders don't like anybody being higher than them. They don't. They want to be what I tell you, they want to be in a position, and listen to his speech. He wants you to believe in him, not to believe in in America. Listen to his speech. It's all about, I will take care of you. My administration will heal the sick. It's so prolific in their speech that they are blinded to the reality of what's going around them. Obamacare is a great example. It's failing miserably, but they're still saying, oh, it's a success. Right? Right? So the thing is that the reason why there's a fundamental attack on Christian values in the United States, and it's important that you do this because they want you to believe that it's something overseas that we don't have control of. They want you to believe that. You got to remember, you're playing checkers with people that play chess. The New World Order. They want you to believe that it's some foreign land. Keep them as the enemy. They want us to believe that, the reason why President Obama hates Christianity is because he's a Muslim. Because what it does is it keeps your eyes off of the truth. It creates a false truth. What I believe, you can join me. Join me on the, we want to talk about this. Get me on the web. We'll be glad to talk. You can join us here on the air. Give us a call. Give us a call. Number's 262-997-0607. That's 262-997-0607. Or you can Skype me at themidnightpatriot.com. So in the last 30 minutes, let me break this down for you. We need to look at the associations here in the United States, to truly understand the problem. So like I said, the goal, you're playing with people that play chess. We're playing checkers, the checkers mentality with people that play chess. They're thinking long term, we're thinking short term. And the reality of it is this: they want to keep us focused on he's got a Muslim name, so he must be Muslim, and he's helping these people. He's helping those people because of policies that were put in place prior to his presidency. He's helping those people because there's an agenda to forward the movement, New World Order. They're interested in that oil. They're interested in that area. They're interested in that lithium that's in Afghanistan. Lithium ion, batteries, big deposit. That's what they're interested in. So they're keeping us focused in this false notion that the reason why he's doing what he's doing is because he's a Muslim. Now, granted, he has Muslim ties through his brother and where he grew up and stuff like that, and he has Muslim people that have infiltrated his organization, but that's just because they were put there because of the puppet masters put them there, and they're kind of orchestrated. But the true nature, that's a bigger picture. That's part of the chess game that's going on. Those are moves that are being played now that are going to be played out in several years from now. Obviously, there's something going on there that needs to be researched more. But right now, here in America, right now, and the reason why I share this with you because we can fix this right now. As Stone said last night, you can't impeach the President of the United States. You can't do it. We cannot do it. We don't have the votes. It's wasted energy. But what we can do is we can expose what's going on, and we can make sure it doesn't happen again. And let me, these are the associations of this president that concern me more so than his associations with the Muslim Brotherhood. Because these are the associations that the press is not reporting on. They're not. Even Fox News, fair and balanced, yeah, right. They don't even report on these. They're not pounding these in to our heads every night, explaining this to us. These are the associations that you need to be concerned about. Bill Ayers and Bernardine Dorn, terrorists and communists. For those that don't know, Bill Ayers, weatherman. Yeah. William Charles Ayers, born December 26, 1944, is an American elementary education theorist and a former leader in the anti-war movement that opposed U.S. involvement in the Vietnam War. He is known for his radical nature of his activism, which began with the anti-war movement in the 1960s. In 1969, he co-founded a violent radical left organization, the Weathermen Underground, which conducted a campaign of bombing public buildings during the 1960s and the 1970s. He's a terrorist. He is now professor in the College of Education at the University of Illinois in Chicago. Yeah, terrorist. Now he's a professor. He's spewing his hate speech and his terroristic ideas on young men and women. But this is what's more concerning. Holding the title of Distinguished Professor of Education and Senior University Scholar, Bernardine Road Dorn is an American former leader of the anti-Vietnam war radical organization Weathermen Underground. She is an associate professor of law at Northwestern University School of Law and is the director of Northwestern's Children and Family Justice Centers. Here you go. They're terrorists and they're known communists. They are. That's one association. Oh, there's more. David Axelrod. David Axelrod. David Axelrod has connections that stretch back to the post-war Chicago communism. Yeah. His mother was a writer for a communist magazine or newspaper in Chicago. While a New Yorker by birth, David Axelrod studied political science at the University of Chicago in 1970. Later, while a start-out journalist with the Hyde Park Herald, Axelrod was mentioned by two older journalists as political activists, Dave Rose and David S. Cantor. There you go. Derek Bell, he's just a racist. Call him what he is. These are people that mentored, that President Obama hung around, associated with. Still friends. He hasn't denounced any of these individuals that I'm mentioning. Derek Bell, racist. Andrew Kosinski says it was perhaps Barack Obama's most intense immersion in the charged campus radical or racial politics of the late 1980s and early 1990s as president of the Harvard Law Review in the spring of his final year there. 1991, he aligned himself with Professor Derek Bell's dramatic protest for diversity on the faculty of Harvard Law School. You can actually listen to the audio of that. Yeah. Yep. That's, Carl Davidson. He's a Maoist communist. Davidson was a former leader of the SDS and a Maoist. In the mid-1990s, Carl Davidson was leading activist in the Chicago New Party, where he worked closely with New Party member and candidate Barack Obama. He is also one of the organizers for Obama's 2002 anti-war speech. Davidson was the webmaster for the website Progressives for Obama. His post blogs from the 1960s radicals like Tom Hayden and Bill Fletcher, who created the website and the agenda. Carl Davidson, known communist and Maoist, helped President Barack Obama in his anti-war speech and also his first presidential run. Frank Marshall Davis. This is very interesting. Frank Marshall Davis was actually introduced to Barack Obama when he was in Hawaii by his grandfather. Obviously because his real father was gone, and his grandfather felt that he needed to be close to an African American father figure. So his Frank Marshall Davis is a communist. You don't know his past, you need to look it up. Obama had an admitted relationship with someone who was known publicly identified as a member of the Communist Party USA. The record shows that Obama was in Hawaii from 1971 to 1979, where he developed a close relationship, almost like a son, with Davis, listening to his poetry and getting advice on his career path. But Obama, in his book, Dreams of My Father, refers to him repeatedly as just Frank. Let me tell you, just Frank. Let me tell you about Frank. Frank was actually so known to the FBI that if we ever went to war with Russia, there were orders to arrest him immediately because he was a Russian sympathizer, a communist. Hear the pattern here? Ann Dunn, who's a Maoist. Obama's administration communication director, Ann Dunn, commented the wisdom of mass murdering communist Chairman Mao in her address to high school students this past June. Dunn cited Mao as one of her two favorite political philosophers. Yeah. I'm going to reread that to you. Obama administration communications director Ann Dunn commented the wisdom of mass murdering of the communist chairman Mao in her address to high school students in past June, just recently. She talks about how Mao was one of her favorite political philosophers. Make you nervous? Yeah. Evan Rose, Jody Evans, Code Pink, socialist. Evans rose to prominence with her role in Code Pink for peace and radical activists in the Democratic fundraising. Before Obama, Evans vigorously endorsed the Democrats' most important issue, hating President Bush. Right after hating President Bush, Evans hated the war. Any war except the ones our enemies are engaged in. Right after that, it's hating her ex-husband, Westside financier Max Polevsky. She's a socialist, known socialist. Sam Graham Felston, he's a socialist and a communist. Graham Felston ran the Obama campaign blog. He spent time in France taking part in labor riots, has written for socialist magazines, hung a communist flag in his home, and was a fan of Marx while he was at Harvard. Gregory Galzo, socialist, communist, and a student of Alinsky. Former Jesuit priest and executive director of the Galliemy Foundation, Gallows was interviewed by New Republic's Ryan Liz and showed him the training manual he uses in his new organization. Gallo told Liz that many new trainees have an adverse to Sal Alinsky's gritty approach because they come to organize as idealists rather than realists. Gallows, along with fellow trainer Mike Korlick, schooled Obama in Alinsky's tactics. The Developing Communities Project, Obama's first employer in Chicago, was part of the Galliemy network of organizations. So there you go. Sal Alinsky was, that's how President Obama was indoctrinated to to Sal Alinsky's approach of activism, communism, socialism. Patrick Gaspar, socialist columnist. He was actually, at the age of 41, became the Democratic operative of the White House Office of Political Affairs. Kaspar's ties to groups behind Acorn. The groups helped President Obama during the Chicago Days Democratic Socialists of America and the Communist Party offshoot committees of correspondence for democracy and socialism. See the list here? I got about 20 other names. They all have one thing in common. Communism. Socialism. So you have to ask yourself, the reason why this president has such a hatred for Christianity goes back to what my belief is, what Jake's belief is too, is the fact that communist leaders, socialistic leaders, don't want anybody, be it a deity or anybody, higher than them. They want to be the cult of personality. And so any attack on Christianity is, in effect, a boost to the cult personality of Obama. Look at their speech. like I said earlier, there's speeches of Obama is going to save us. Obama is going to heal us. The government is going to do that. So, when you hear orders and you hear statements, as we brought up earlier with Prepper Recon, about, the order that went down in, the military, is that Tea Party members and Christians are terrorists, and your association with them could get you in trouble under the Uniform Code of Conduct, the military. That order was not, it had to come down from above. You don't rewrite the UCC. Well, you do, but it's not done in a bubble. The generals and stuff, that's coming down from above. And then you have to question with the mass firings. What's this call it? The mass firings of our major leaders. You got to ask yourself, is it because they know what's going on? They, as Christians, know that there is an attack fundamentally on American values. Look at the constant erosion of American values, the things that make you, think about it, the things that make you not need your government: strong families, strong communities, strong educational centers. Those are being eroded consistently. So you have to ask yourself, you really do, is the reason why we are, our Christian values, our family values are under attack? Like I said, I think the root here is that they want you to believe because he's a Muslim. And there's we still got more research to do there. But what sticks out to me as I read this is that the reason why we are under attack and our values is because he's a socialist. He's a communist. He has that bringing, and religion is antithetical to that belief. That's what my research is telling me. Now, why is the fact that we expose this important? Because this is something that we can fight. This is something that's based in truth and substance. So what we need to do is we need to let fellow Americans know that the attack on our Christianity is not an attack because he's Muslim, or is because he's a communist and a socialist. And then once that is exposed to you, and you look at the speech, and you look now, when you look at the president and you listen to his speech, now that you know that he's a socialist and communist, and that he's associated himself around these various parties and these various individuals, listen to his speech. It takes on a whole new sense of meaning. It really does. You're awoken, as I was. When I go back now and listen, I've listened to the YouTubes, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh, it's clicking. It's clicking. It makes sense. Now I know why he says that. Now I know why he, like most dictators, they do the great speech. They do. They get out there and they do the great speech. That's why he does the great speech. Because he actually believes the stuff he's peddling. He does. So, like I said, we post everything that we say under the show. It will post it. So you'll be able to see my sources. You'll be able to read and come to your own conclusions. But the conclusion that I have come to is the fact that the reason why President Barack Obama is attacking our Christian family values is not the fact that he's a Muslim, as reported, or what people want to believe, but because he is a communist and a socialist. And he is attacking America capitalism and trying to instill communist and socialist ideas. And you can only assume because of his association. He is associated. I can tell you, in my whole life, my whole world, I don't know any. I look at my sphere of influences, my friends, people that I know. I can't list one communist or one socialist because I don't believe in them. I don't believe in that life, so I don't associate with those people. But he's got a litany of associations, advisors, and such. So do the research yourself. Do the research yourself. Come to your own conclusions. But now that you have been awoken to this, hopefully, when you listen to the president's speak, look at it as a communist, as him being a communist and a socialist, and see if his speech doesn't fit into what you've heard in history from other socialists and communists: Mao, Lenin, Stalin, Castro. Just draw your own conclusion. So with that, we're going to take a very small break. Take a little break here. When I get back, I'm going to give you the tech tip of the day. Technology, how to protect your files, your computer, and everything from the ever-watching eye. And we'll take your calls if you have any. You can join us on the web at www.themidnightpatriot.com, or you can join us on Skype. I'm your host, Jeff Norton. You are listening to the Midnight Patriot radio show.
America, welcome home the brave. The brave men and women who serve their country are coming home. Home to their cities and towns. Home to their mountains and valleys. Home to their families and friends. Home to America. Some of these warriors are coming home with wounds you can see, and some with wounds you can't see, like post-traumatic stress disorder. Wounded Warrior Project was created to provide the support these wounded veterans need to ensure their return to America is well-adjusted and successful. But we need your help to ensure that our mission is a success. Help us honor and empower these wounded warriors. Contact us at findwwp.org. America, welcome home the brave.
In a moment, cancer changed our lives forever.
We were told nothing could be done to enjoy these final moments together.
But in that moment, when all seemed lost,
St. Jude Children's Research Hospital gave us hope.
Because at this moment, St. Jude Children's Research Hospital is saving lives with pioneering research and care. We're changing the way the world treats childhood cancer by sharing our discoveries with doctors and scientists everywhere.
And we'll never have to pay St. Jude for anything, ever.
At this moment, she wants to be in her own bed.
I want to be back at school with my friends.
I want to be outside playing.
Please take a moment and join St. Jude in finding cures and saving children. Visit stjude.org.
All right. So you're listening to the Midnight Patriot radio show and podcast. You can join us on the web at www.themidnightpatriot.com. Give us some feedback. Let us know what you think about the last segment. You know, agree, disagree. All things are welcome, you know. You know, let us know. Let us know what you think. So, keeping up with our thing, you know, we're going to do a nightly. Every night we're going to give you guys a tech tip. It's going to help you. Now, you know, we talked about cell phones in our last 2 episodes or whatever. You need to, you know, just listen to the show and you'll see how you can do a little trade craft on cell phones. But tonight we're going to talk about securing your files. Every computer, be it Linux, be it Unix, be it, you know, PC, be it Mac and stuff, you have the ability to compress those files. Now, one of the things, and you don't have to have any special software on there. You don't have to have WinZip or anything like that. They come with a natural compression. With that, now, with WinZip and stuff, you can password protect those. So when you go to take a file, you compress it, and then you password protect it. It is almost near impossible to decrypt that unless you have the password. That's tip number one. Now, if you wanted to get a little bit more elaborate, there are open source. Now, I recommend open source PGP, open PGP, versus, you know, one that you have to purchase from a manufacturer, because, you know, a lot of people don't know this. Tor is a very well-known, supposed to be private browser and stuff. Well, the fact of the matter is that the NSA helped fund Tor, T-O-R. So I would tell you to stay away from those things. You know, you don't know what backdoors have been put in place. So you can download OpenPGP. PGP is an encryption software that you can take files and encrypt them to military standard, which would be almost impossible to decrypt. So that's your tech tip of the day. You can either use zip and then put a password on it. That would work. Or you can use, or you can download OpenPGP. If you have a Mac, you can encrypt your whole hard drive. That's already been proven. Can't be broken. There was actually a lawsuit not too long ago where the FBI couldn't break it and stuff. So if you have a Mac, highly recommend that you encrypt your hard drive and put a password on it, and only you can do it. The other thing is on email, make sure that you're doing SSL protocol between you and your server. You know, that will help you as well. But, you know, OpenPGP, zip with a password will do it as well. Do not put files on any kind of file server unless they are encrypted, because once you move them off your computer, you are actually saying that it's fair use. A lot of people don't know this too. All files that you should email should be encrypted, because if you read Gmail, Google, Yahoo, all of those guys, they actually, if you use their system and send a file, they can open that up. And they do regularly. There's been several tests to see that. So once again, I'll just close the night out. I just want to say, everybody, good night. Great show. And, you know, enjoyed Prepper Recon and his insightfulness, as always. Get us the pictures of your bug out bag so we can get you entered into the contest next week. We'll announce that next Thursday. The best bug out bag. Put your ingredients or what you have in that bag. But you're listening to the Midnight Patriot. May God bless you. God keep you. You know, he might not give you what you want, but if you believe in God and you believe that he's, you know, your Savior, Jesus Christ, he'll give you what you need. I can tell you, I'm living proof of that here at the Midnight Patriot. So God bless you. Take care of yourselves. Until tomorrow, join us on Facebook. Like us. Make sure you get the word out. You know, tell your friends about us. That's the only way we're going to grow this Patriot show, is by you, the listener, getting the word out, letting people know. And so you guys know, every night we break the previous night's records as far as listenership. So keep up the great work. Whatever you guys are doing is working. And until tomorrow night.